When was the last time you heard anyone talk about Bimota with the energy the brand used to create? Almost never. And that says everything about what happened here. There was a time when this Italian motorcycle manufacturer dominated the superbike conversation. Hand-built frames housed the most powerful engines from Ducati, Kawasaki, and Honda. Their bikes appeared on racetracks worldwide, setting lap records and winning championships. For years, Bimota felt like a guarantee. If you wanted the ultimate performance machine, you saved for a Bimota. The craftsmanship was real, and enthusiasts rode that reputation all the way to cult status. But momentum only lasts if you do not systematically destroy customer trust through repeated bankruptcies and abandoned warranties. Racing success became a mask for street bike failures. Each financial collapse allowed executives to escape responsibility while customers lost everything. The name stayed familiar among motorcycle enthusiasts, but the trust completely evaporated. So today's question is simple. How did Bimota build such devoted followers? And what turned loyal fans into victims of a $150 million bankruptcy cycle? Try asking a dedicated motorcyclist about Bimota today. You will likely get a distant stare and a question. Whatever happened to them? This silence speaks volumes about a brand that once commanded reverence in every conversation about performance motorcycles. The collapse was not just financial, it was cultural. A name that once represented the pinnacle of motorcycle engineering now exists primarily in the past tense. The numbers tell a devastating story. $150 million in combined losses across multiple bankruptcies. Thousands of loyal customers abandoned with worthless warranties and no parts support. Premium motorcycles that cost upwards of $40,000 became essentially unserviceable orphans. This was not just business failure. It was systematic betrayal on an industrial scale. What makes the Bimota story particularly tragic is its predictable pattern. Bankruptcy, restart, repeat. A cycle that defined the company's later years. Like clockwork, the company would collapse, shed its financial obligations, then reemerge with bold promises and splashy new models, only to fail again a few years later. Each iteration maintained the prestige marketing while systematically abandoning the previous generation of customers. The human cost was immense. Imagine investing your life savings into what you believed was the ultimate expression of motorcycle engineering, only to discover the manufacturer had declared bankruptcy, voiding your warranty and eliminating any factory support. Thousands faced this reality. Proud Bimota owners were left with depreciating assets they could not properly maintain or repair. So how does a legendary motorcycle brand transform from an object of desire into a cautionary tale? How does a company built on engineering excellence and racing heritage become synonymous with corporate betrayal? The answer lies in understanding both Bimota's spectacular rise and its calculated deliberate fall. The Bimota story begins in 1973 in the coastal town of Rimini, Italy. Three visionaries, Valerio Bianchi, Giuseppe Mori, and Massimo Tamburini, combined the first two letters of their surnames to create the now legendary name Bimota. Their founding vision was not just to build another motorcycle company. It was to fundamentally reimagine what a performance motorcycle could be. Tamburini, in particular, brought revolutionary thinking to the venture. After a serious motorcycle accident, he became obsessed with improving motorcycle chassis design. His epiphany was simple, yet transformative. Japanese manufacturers were building incredible engines, but their frames and suspension systems could not properly handle the power. The Italian approach would be different. It focused on the entire package as an integrated system designed for ultimate performance. This insight led to Bimota's fundamental innovation, combining Italian chassis expertise with Japanese and European engines. It was a perfect marriage of specialties. By sourcing engines from established manufacturers like Honda, Kawasaki, Suzuki, and later Ducati, Bimota could focus entirely on creating lighter, stronger, more responsive frames and suspensions. The company's first breakthrough came with the 1976 SB2, built around Suzuki's GS 750 engine. The impact was immediate and profound. The motorcycle weighed significantly less than the original Suzuki, while offering vastly improved handling. Racing teams took notice, and Bimota quickly established credibility at the highest levels of motorcycle competition. Early racing success followed almost immediately. Johnny Cecotto piloted a Bimota-framed Yamaha TZ750 to victory in the 1976 350 cubic centimeter World Championship. This victory, against factory teams with much larger budgets, catapulted Bimota from obscurity to motorsport legitimacy overnight. Racing became central to the company's identity, not just for marketing, but as a genuine proving ground for their engineering philosophies. What truly set Bimota apart was their commitment to craftsmanship. While Japanese manufacturers embraced mass production, Bimota deliberately maintained a hand-built approach. Each frame was meticulously crafted by skilled technicians. Components were machined to exacting tolerances. The assembly process was more akin to watchmaking than typical motorcycle manufacturing. This approach justified premium pricing, and it created the exclusivity that would become central to the Bimota mystique. The foundation period established everything that would make Bimota legendary: uncompromising engineering, racing success, artisanal craftsmanship, and a willingness to pursue perfection regardless of cost. In retrospect, we can see both the brilliant potential and the fatal flaws embedded in this founding vision. By the mid-1980s, Bimota had achieved something remarkable in the motorcycle world: undisputed market dominance in the ultra-premium segment. For serious enthusiasts and racers with substantial budgets, there was simply no alternative. A Bimota represented the absolute pinnacle of what a motorcycle could be. The company's golden era produced a succession of iconic models that redefined expectations. The DB1, powered by Ducati's Desmodromic valve engine, combined breathtaking Italian design with revolutionary performance. The YB4, featuring Yamaha's FZ750 engine, won the 1987 Formula One World Championship, proving that Bimota's approach worked at the highest levels of competition. The KB3, built around Kawasaki's powerful GPZ1100 engine, demonstrated the versatility of Bimota's engineering approach across different engine configurations. Each new model reinforced the company's position at the forefront of motorcycle technology. Innovations, like aluminum perimeter frames, adjustable steering heads, and radical aerodynamic solutions, appeared on Bimota models years before mainstream manufacturers adopted them. The company was not just building expensive motorcycles, it was serving as the research and development wing for the entire industry. Racing achievements during this period cemented Bimota's reputation. Virginio Ferrari rode a YB4 to victory in the inaugural World Superbike Championship season. Davide Tardozzi dominated numerous races on Bimota machinery. On racetracks around the world, these distinctive Italian machines repeatedly outperformed factory efforts from much larger manufacturers, validating the premium prices commanded by Bimota street bikes. The cultural impact extended far beyond sales numbers. In an era when Japanese manufacturers were beginning to homogenize motorcycle design, Bimota stood defiantly for individuality and character. Each model bore distinctive Italian styling that made functionality beautiful. Owning a Bimota was not just about having the fastest motorcycle, it was about possessing a handcrafted piece of functional art. This combination of performance, exclusivity, and beauty created something unprecedented in the motorcycle industry: a customer base willing to pay extraordinary premiums for the Bimota experience. Enthusiasts would commit to purchases representing 3 or 4 times the price of mainstream superbikes. The waiting lists grew, with customers making deposits years in advance. Bimota had achieved the holy grail of business: customers who did not merely buy products, but became evangelical brand ambassadors. At its peak, the company was producing approximately 1,000 motorcycles annually, with each commanding prices between $30,000 and $50,000. Astronomical figures for the era. Revenues soared, and expansion seemed inevitable. The Bimota formula appeared unstoppable. Yet, beneath the surface, the first signs of vulnerability were beginning to appear. The very factors that made Bimota special were handcrafted production, engineering without compromise, and relentless innovation. Those strengths created financial pressures that would eventually prove unsustainable. By the late 1990s, subtle cracks began appearing in Bimota's seemingly impenetrable armor. The financial pressures of operating as a low-volume, high-cost manufacturer became increasingly problematic. Development costs for new models continued to rise, but production volumes remained limited by both manufacturing capacity and market size. This created significant cash flow challenges, even as the brand appeared to be thriving. Simultaneously, The market was changing beneath Bimota's feet. Japanese manufacturers, once content to let Bimota occupy the ultra-premium segment, began closing the performance gap while offering significantly better reliability. Bikes like Honda's CBR 900RR Fireblade and Yamaha's R1 delivered performance that approached Bimota territory at a fraction of the price, while providing dealer networks and parts availability that the Italian company could not match. The first major warning sign came in 2000 when Bimota declared bankruptcy. This should have been a definitive red flag for the motorcycle community, but the brand's devoted followers largely ignored it. When the company restructured under new ownership, the prevailing narrative treated the situation as a temporary setback rather than a fundamental failure. Customers kept placing orders and making deposits, showing a loyalty that, in retrospect, was tragically misplaced. This post-bankruptcy period marked a crucial shift in company priorities. New management, including investors without deep ties to motorcycling culture, began prioritizing short-term profits over the long-term reputation that had built the brand. Cost-cutting measures were implemented across production. Components that had once been custom machined in-house were outsourced. Quality control processes that had been painstakingly maintained for decades were streamlined or eliminated. The most concerning development was the growing disconnect between Bimota's racing success and the reliability of its street bikes. While the company kept scoring impressive results in racing, customers began experiencing unprecedented problems with their road-going machines. Reports of electrical failures, transmission issues, and even structural problems became increasingly common. Warranty claims mounted, creating another financial burden on the already struggling company. By this point, the essential character of Bimota had fundamentally changed. What had begun as an engineering-driven company dedicated to motorcycle perfection was transforming into something far more cynical, a luxury brand trading on past glories while delivering increasingly compromised products. The shift was subtle enough that many customers did not recognize it until it was too late. This period represents the crucial inflection point in the Bimota story. Had leadership acknowledged these challenges and recommitted to the founding principles of engineering excellence and customer service, perhaps the brand could have been preserved. Instead, they chose a different path, one that would ultimately destroy not just the company's finances, but its very soul. What followed was one of the most disturbing patterns in motorcycle industry history, a cycle of bankruptcies that systematically abandoned customers while allowing executives to escape responsibility. Between 2000 and 2018, Bimota declared bankruptcy 3 separate times, with each collapse following an identical pattern. First, the company would default on warranty obligations, leaving customers with defective motorcycles and no recourse. Then, assets would be liquidated at pennies on the dollar, with intellectual property and brand rights typically acquired by entities connected to previous management. Finally, a new Bimota would emerge, making grandiose promises about returning to the company's roots, while taking no responsibility for previous failures. The human consequences were devastating. Consider the experience of a typical Bimota owner during this period. After investing $40,000 or more in what they believed was the ultimate expression of motorcycle engineering, they would discover mechanical issues requiring warranty service. Upon contacting their dealer, they would learn the company had declared bankruptcy, rendering their warranty worthless. Replacement parts became unobtainable, and service information disappeared. Their pride and joy, often purchased as a culmination of lifelong passion, became an expensive, depreciating ornament. Thousands of customers found themselves in this position. Some had invested their life savings. Others had taken out substantial loans. All had placed their trust in a brand that systematically betrayed them. The combined financial impact on customers has been estimated at over $75 million, half of the total $150 million in losses associated with Bimota's repeated collapses. What makes this cycle particularly troubling is the evidence suggesting it was not merely mismanagement, but a deliberate strategy. Documents that emerged during bankruptcy proceedings revealed executives discussing the advantages of planned insolvency as a means of escaping warranty obligations. Internal communications explicitly acknowledged the benefits of starting fresh without the burden of supporting existing customers. Throughout this period, Bimota's marketing continued to leverage its racing heritage, promoting racing technology for the street even as customer motorcycles failed basic reliability tests. The company maintained a high-profile racing presence, investing millions in competition while neglecting basic quality control for paying customers. Racing success became not just marketing, but misdirection, a deliberate distraction from fundamental product failures. Financial engineering replaced actual engineering as the company's core competency. Executives became adept at navigating bankruptcy laws across multiple jurisdictions, particularly exploiting differences between Italian and European Union regulations. Corporate structures were designed not to facilitate motorcycle production, but to insulate decision-makers from consequences. With each iteration, the distance between the original Bimota vision and current reality grew wider. By the 2010s, the pattern had become so predictable that industry insiders openly warned potential customers against purchasing new Bimota models. Yet the mythical status of the brand continued to attract buyers, often wealthy enthusiasts new to motorcycling who were not aware of the company's troubled history. Each new wave of customers became the next generation of victims in an increasingly cynical cycle. When examining what went wrong at Bimota, three fundamental mistakes stand out as particularly devastating to the company's long-term viability. The first and most destructive mistake was prioritizing legal escape routes over customer obligations. While all businesses face financial challenges, Bimota's leadership repeatedly chose to protect themselves rather than honor commitments to customers who had invested substantial sums in their products. This approach destroyed trust permanently. In the premium motorcycle market, where brand reputation is everything, this betrayal effectively eliminated any possibility of sustainable recovery. No business can survive long-term when it systematically abandons its most loyal supporters. The second critical error was using racing success to mask fundamental reliability problems in street bikes. Bimota continued investing heavily in racing programs that delivered headlines and trophies while neglecting basic quality control in production motorcycles. This created a dangerous disconnect between brand perception and customer experience. Racing success temporarily maintained the illusion of engineering excellence, but each street bike failure permanently damaged the brand's credibility among actual owners, the very people whose word-of-mouth recommendations had built Bimota in the first place. The third mistake was treating bankruptcy itself as a business strategy rather than addressing core operational issues. Instead of developing sustainable production methods, improving quality control, or building customer service infrastructure, Bimota's leadership became experts at financial engineering, using corporate restructuring to shed obligations while preserving assets. This approach might work for short-term financial manipulation, but it is fundamentally incompatible with building a heritage brand in a passion-driven industry like motorcycling. The real cost of these mistakes extends far beyond $150 million in direct financial losses. What was truly lost was the Bimota legacy, decades of engineering innovation, racing heritage, and cultural significance effectively erased by systematic betrayal. A brand that could have continued defining the upper echelons of motorcycle performance instead became a cautionary tale about corporate cynicism and customer abandonment. The industry impact has been significant. Other niche manufacturers, particularly Italian firms like MV Agusta and Benelli, have explicitly changed business practices to avoid the Bimota trap. These companies now emphasize parts availability, warranty support, and customer service alongside performance and exclusivity. The lesson was clear. In the premium motorcycle segment, long-term viability requires treating customers as partners rather than temporary revenue sources. In 2019, Kawasaki acquired a 49.9% stake in Bimota, beginning yet another chapter in this troubled history. Whether this new iteration can overcome the brand's tarnished legacy remains to be seen. What is certain is that the Bimota story offers crucial lessons about the real meaning of brand value and the devastating consequences of prioritizing short-term financial engineering over long-term customer relationships. The greatest motorcycles ever created mean nothing if the company behind them abandons its fundamental responsibility to the people who invested in the dream. That is the ultimate lesson of Bimota's rise and fall, a cautionary tale for any company that believes brand heritage alone can survive systematic betrayal of customer trust. Bimota's $150 million collapse was not accidental. It was engineered through repeated customer betrayal. Racing trophies masked street bike failures, while executives escaped through bankruptcy loopholes. leaving thousands stranded with worthless warranties. This pattern reveals how quickly trust evaporates when prestige brands prioritize financial escape over customer commitment. What luxury brands do you trust completely? What would make you walk away forever? Comment below with your experience. Subscribe now. Next week's investigation exposes how another iconic brand is following the same destructive pattern.